In 2021's Minecraft live event, Mojang revealed the title of the next Minecraft update, the Wild Update. Let's listen to the developers describe what they want this update to be about.
And then the other part you said is really this more of that beauty and, the atmosphere of Minecraft.
Yes, so we want to celebrate the wilderness of Minecraft. And one thing we want to focus on is immersion. So when you play Minecraft, we really want you to feel that you're inside the Minecraft world.
Atmosphere is the key to bringing Minecraft to the next level. In the event, they mostly talked about how they want to revamp certain biomes to make them more beautiful and unique, and one biome in particular is getting a complete overhaul, the swamp biome. I think improving biomes is a great move and will give the world a lot more of that beautiful naturey atmosphere they're talking about. There's a lot of potential here, though it goes beyond just revamping some biomes. Mojang can really increase the immersion throughout the game, and I think it mostly comes down to two things: sound design and visual effects. Let me explain. The sound design of Minecraft, while good, I think could be greatly improved. Mojang have been doing a lot better recently, with new blocks often having unique sounds, like the Deep Slate and Tough, or the Netherrack and Netherbricks in the Nether update. I think they should redo a lot of the old sounds and give old blocks new sounds, like having andesite, granite, and diorite having separate sounds from stone, or making flowing water sound more like this, rather than this. But I think they can really go the extra mile and make the sounds more dynamic. What exactly do I mean by that? Well, right now, sound is unchanging. It doesn't matter where you are or what's happening around the area, the sounds will stay the same. But what if they change depending on various circumstances? For instance, what if when you were in a large empty space, the sounds would echo? The explosion of a creeper deep in a cavern would echo against the walls, or you could hear your soft footsteps echo as you walk through a large chapel. What if flowing water had different sounds depending on how far the water fell and how much of it there is? If there's a lot of water falling from a high height, it could sound like a waterfall crashing into a riverbed below. Or if there's just a little bit of water, it could sound more like a stream trickling. This is what I mean by sounds being dynamic. Sounds changing based upon the context of the world around them. This alone would increase the immersion and atmosphere of Minecraft tenfold. And they have this somewhat already in the game. For instance, when it's raining outside but you enter a shelter of some kind, the rain will become muffled. But they should go further and add new sounds when they're revamping the biomes, like hearing the wind on tops of mountains, the sounds of bugs buzzing in the forests, the sounds of leaves slightly rustling in the wind, and these can change dynamically as well. Like at night, you'll hear more bugs chirping, and at day, you'll hear birds singing. The mod Dynamic Surroundings does something very similar to what I'm describing, and can provide an insight into what an official update bringing these features into the game could look like. Being outside in the forest at night, hearing crickets chirping, or hearing the wind in a barren desert really gives each area a distinct tone, and it does heighten immersion. The sounds inside a wooden house are more muted than the sounds inside a stone house, which are more reverberant. Playing the game with this mod installed significantly changes how the game feels without actually changing much about the game itself. There are some weird things about the mod I'm personally not a fan of, like hearing seagulls when on a beach doesn't really feel right because there aren't actually any seagulls anywhere. The sounds just, appear to come from nowhere. Aside from minor gripes like that though, it's a great mod to play around with. But the mod doesn't just play with the sounds of the game, it also seems to play with some particle effects as well. For instance, falling water will have these water particles coming off of it, or water over lava will have steam rising from the obsidian. It's a small detail, but small details can go a long way in increasing the atmosphere of a game. Credit where it's due, Mojang have done a really good job recently playing with visual effects, like ash falling from the ceiling in the basalt deltas, or the spore blossoms in the lush caves leaving green particles that dance in the air. The spores in the lush caves help create that magical feeling, and the falling ash and dark gray fog in the basalt deltas makes the area dark and dreary. So, what if Mojang reimagined the older biomes with fancy new particle effects, fog colors, and more? Imagine in the jungle, you could see leaves falling from the trees every once in a while, and the fog and sky could be tinted slightly green. Maybe there's even more fog while in this biome. Mojang could even make the fog more dynamic by increasing and decreasing the levels of fog as the days go on. Maybe you could wake up to a particularly foggy morning, and later in the day, it would start to clear up. I'd like to mention Teralith, created by Stardust Labs, a data pack which adds a bunch of new biomes and changes terrain generation. It plays with fog color in its biomes, and doesn't this just look so much better? The deserts feel hotter, the tundras feel colder, the jungles feel junglier. But when Mojang says they want to revamp biomes, what exactly do they mean? We know that the swamp biome is getting an entire overhaul, while other biomes are only getting small improvements. In the birch forest concept art, we can see the birch trees generating with branches and mushrooms growing out of the bark. We can also see a fallen tree and some new flowers. So if this concept art is anything to go by, it looks like they want to add some new flora and change generation of the biomes just ever so slightly. I think these smaller revamps of biomes will really help create a more immersive world, and it feels just like a natural progression to the last update that entirely redid the world generation. I can imagine them adding like rare mushroom fairy rings in forests, or small ambient mobs similar to bats like birds or something. We were shown what they've done with the swamp biome so far, and compared to the concept art, honestly, I've gotta say it looks kind of disappointing. Don't get me wrong, the new swamp is a massive improvement over the old swamp. I love what they've done with the new mangrove trees, and the frogs and fireflies really make the swamp unique. But again, taking a look at the concept art versus the game footage, it just doesn't really hold up in my opinion. The concept art feels dark and mysterious, and in-game it just feels, well, kind of bland. It feels like the old swamps, just with some new blocks and new mobs. But imagine if we just changed the sky color and made it a bit foggier, and bam! It really looks so much better. This is what I mean. With small changes to visual effects, you can really make it pop and feel unique. Combine it with new sounds, and you've got a biome that feels immersive and fun to explore. I also want to touch on the Deep Dark and what they've done with that biome so far, and goodness gracious, everything they've done here in terms of ambiance blows everything else they've ever done out the window. This biome is terrifying, and it is not afraid to show it. All the little details that come together make this place truly unwelcoming. The darkness effect, the shrieker blocks, the warden coming out of the ground. There is no place of safety here. Even the game mechanics on how Skulk spreads is scary. Whenever a mob dies around a catalyst, Skulk will spread around it, which has pretty chilling implications. This biome is perfect in how it uses its sound and visuals to convey fear. I honestly don't really have anything to say about it other than this should be the gold standard that Mojang should aim to achieve with other biomes. The Wild update could really be something special, and if Mojang goes all the way with it like I've described, it would be yet another monumental update to the game that really changes it for the better. But I'm curious as to what you think. What do you think they could add to the Wild update? Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, everyone. Oh yeah, and like and subscribe if you fancy that. That'd be pretty cool, you know?